Welcome, everybody, to Oceanside Library's Poetry Near and Afar here for January 15th, 2024. We are very excited to have Robert Rubino join us, all the way from the issue from California, right, Robert? Did I remember?
Yes.
Do I remember that correctly? And
Yep.
our very own Ro is here as well. From Oceanside, so it's truly a near and a very near and an afar for us. The Oceanside Library is proud to sponsor this program during the winter and spring. And then in the summer, the library is now, with the Friends of the Library, a co-host of the Summer Gazebo Readings, which will be going into our 18th season this summer. For those of you who are in the New York area or who will be traveling in the New York area over the summer, we meet every Monday night in June, July, and August. We have 4 authors and poets who read in front of a very large crowd, who bring their lawn chairs, and we provide free desserts. And it usually runs in the 60 to 100 person kind of event, and sometimes larger, depending on where we go. So that always works. This week we will be announcing our very first Friends of the Oceanside Library Poetry Contest. It'll have 2 categories, one for adults and one for high school. The prizes, I believe, if they correct me, Christina, if I'm wrong, did we say the first prize is $250, and then it goes down from there? Plus, all of the winners and quite a number of the selected other entrants will be included in a poetry ebook, which will be published by the Friends of the Oceanside Library. It's $5 per poem to enter, and everybody will be getting information on it. So we look forward to everybody entering, and we'll be announcing the winners during National Poetry Month in April. So we're pretty excited. Anybody anywhere in the world can enter, and so we're excited to kick that off the ground. All right, so tonight our very first reader has been a good friend here of the Poetry Near and Afar. We see him almost every week, and if not every week. And so without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Rubino.
Thank you, Tony, and thanks to Oceanside for this invitation. I also want to do a quick shout out to Dan Brady. Dan Brady was a co-feature here about a year and a half ago. He's a good friend of mine from the San Francisco Bay Area. And it was my getting onto that particular Zoom with Dan that I discovered Oceanside. So thank you, Dan. I'm going to jump right in. Brotherhood. I love reminiscing about our childhoods with my 2 younger brothers, now in our shared old age. I love how they, each in his own way, paint the past as exclusively loving and carefree, paint the past with strokes both broad and finely etched, but without conflict, guilt-free, absent of shame, using only primary colors, and never leaving a single splatter. Memories of holiday feasts with grandparents and aunts and uncles, platters of lasagna and ravioli and jugs of red table wine mixed with benevolent red-blooded debate and boisterous laughter. Memories of our father's Franciscan gentleness, our mother's United Nations worthy diplomatic skills. Memories of ballparks and barbecues, of midnight mass on Christmas Eve, of sleeping in heavenly peace. Our pacifist snowball fights, nobody ever got hurt, and giggling fits among us 3 boys, so fiercely silly, the debris of a milk-dunked, already tasted Oreo would exit through one of our nostrils and reappear, redunked, as it were, back in a glass of milk. I share those memories. Cherish those memories. Although when I paint the past, I tend to employ muted, muddy, messy slate grays and unearthed hues dripping in documentarian dread, leaving splatters on my eyeballs. I love my brothers unconditionally, love them for their kindness, their forgiveness, their forgetfulness. Wanderers, all of us. We wandered into childhood alone among so many other children exactly like us, among none like us. Wide-eyed, silent, obedient, but not without sneaky streaks of narrow-eyed subversion. We wandered into adolescence alone among so many other adolescents, none like us, yet none unlike us. All of us so sure of what was what, none of us even with a clue. Our script inscrutable, our improvisations prohibited. We wandered into young adulthood alone among so many other young adults, scared of nothing, nothing so much as scared to death of turning into our dying parents who had done nothing wrong except be themselves. We wandered into middle age alone, among so many others wending through the workaday world, so cocksure, confident, convinced we were exceptions. We would never fall victim to that cliche virus called midlife crisis. Oh, how proudly, ashamedly, self-satisfyingly wrong we were. Some of us, anyway. We wandered into retirement's golden oldie moldy years, now become supersonic speedy cloudy days alone, among so many others burdened by pending vacancies, virility, vitality having given notice, these clouds rolling, roiling, presaging end time storms that will rage and raise and ravage, cleanse and erase. Bernadette at Lourdes. With no teacher aides, no volunteer parents, just one young nun, Sister Mary Rose, all by herself, marched you and her other 71 second grade students 11 blocks west toward the 59th Street Bridge to the shabby palatial Hobart Theater for your first movie in a movie theater experience, The Song of Bernadette, which, go figure, featured no song and in 1955 already had been around for 12 years. But to us 7-year-olds, it was as fresh as our unsoiled souls, as fantastical as the 19th century French peasant girl's heavenly vision of a virgin mother, as miraculous as curative spring waters sprung from the dirt of a local dump, as mysterious as falling in pure platonic love with 24-year-old Jennifer Jones as the 14-year-old Bernadette. And in love, too, with what you couldn't articulate then, but decades later you would call the subtext. And a seductive subtext it was, that there's lonely but lovely, long-suffering specialness in seeing something that no one else sees, whether it's in the wicked wide world or deep within oneself. Superman is dead. Long live Superman. 11 years old, Queens, New York, 1959. We're stone silent after cracking wise about the news of George Reeves' suicide. Each joke a variation on TV's Superman shooting himself with a kryptonite bullet. We huddle in the cavern of a fallout shelter, each of us holding on dearly, desperately, to the latest Superman comic book, still beguiled by this all-American alien, still keeping secret his transparent dual identity, this hero both mild-mannered and so daring, who kills something in us along with himself, yet still joins us on our fitful flights of fancy. Home, sick, 9 years old, 1957. 0 degrees outside, while cozy warm inside. Mother opens apartment's bedroom window, reels in creaky clothesline of dried laundry, closes apartment's bedroom window. And together we fall into fits of giggling at shirts frozen suitably stiff for a mummy movie, and at blue jeans able to stand on their own as if being worn by the invisible man. This silliness coming just hours after the seriousness of her wicked witch stalking with a tablespoon in one shaking fist and a jar of vomit-inducing syrup of ipecac in the other. Double feature horror sci-fi subtext. 9-year-old boy, 1957, at neighborhood Saturday matinee, seeing The Incredible Shrinking Man. Man sails through fog that's more than fog. Radioactive haze causes him to shrink gradually, then all of a sudden. Man becomes spider's toy, keeps shrinking. Man incredibly shrinking beyond subatomic, deep into infinitesimal, still shrinking. Man puny, helpless, hapless, more and more insignificant, all the time, tragic, laughable, ridiculous, pointless. Man shrinking to nothing, a lot less than nothing. 9-year-old boy in 1957 at the neighborhood Saturday matinee, this time seeing The Amazing Colossal Man. Atomic bomb test exposes man to plane loads of radiation. He swells, expands like flesh and blood and bones balloon. Man grows bigger, leaves biggest footprint. Man outgrows everything, dominates everything, everywhere. Ego-fueled science run amok, big blob of a bad joke. Man too scary, too silly, out of control, out of proportion. Destructive, tragic, pathetic, all-consuming, self-destructive. Man nothing but amazing, colossal misfit mistake. Cherry lime rickeys. In the hot, humid, steamy, stinky summers in the city when we were kids, we cared about nothing but playing, all day playing, deep into the deepening dusk playing, free, fever dream free from frowning, fawning adult supervision, playing on dirt and rock fields carved from empty lots, on asphalt playgrounds, on gooey tarred streets, on cracked sidewalks, in alleys between apartment buildings featuring fallout shelter signs with arrows pointing downward. Playing, whether with a big group, small group, just a few, or only two, even by oneself and one's gold mind of imagination. Playing. Baseball, softball, stickball, punchball, handball, stoop ball, box ball, even something we called off the wall. And all that playing would be rewarded at Rojak's Candy Store's fountain counter, where we would spend 11 cents hearing ice cubes clink while watching sinuous squirts of syrups blasted with bubbly water, drinking those chilly cherry lime rickeys, the crystal clear beads of cold condensation on the outside of our skinny tall glasses, matching and mocking cloudy, salty beads of sweat, slowly slinking down our uncreased brows, our fuzzless faces. Stickball hallucinations, 1958. Silent, narrow summer streets, parked car crowded under idlewild, cacophonous steel gray skies, became wide open, sunny, clear, cheer splashed spaces in old Yankee Stadium, a borough away in the Bronx. Sawed-off skinny broomstick in bony hands became big-barreled Louisville slugger in meaty fists as scrawny, day-tripping 10-year-old Zero U became number 7 Mickey Mantle, Hercules in pinstripes. Pink Spalding rubber ball savagely, innocently, perfectly struck became red-stitched white horsehide big league hardball, soaring, streaking like a comet's tail toward the upper deck facade with its bleached lime green frieze of cream scalloped crowns. Nothing but net. The basketball at center court of an empty gym extends an irresistible invitation. An old man enters, looks around, makes sure he's alone. He bounces the ball on the hardwood floor, simulating amplified drum beats, heartbeats, stimulating earfuls of echoing flashbacks. He stops at the top of the key. He stares at the metal hoop with its skirt of bleached white netting, quite the first-class upgrade from the rusted, busted chain link nets of his playground youth 60 years ago. Firmly, tenderly, he holds the ball, his focus free from tension, decades melting into refreshing reverie. Hand-eye, mind's-eye orchestration, it's all born-again muscle memory now. Bent arm, snapping wrist, fingertips, tiptoes. His white men can't jump. He shoots. His shot rising, rotating, falling, spinning through time, through space, through a predestined parabolic arc. Swish. A foreign country called Connecticut. Those autumnal afternoons in 57 with neighbor, classmate, friendly rival Richie, waving to his airline pilot father driving the neighborhood's only Thunderbird, lime with sage interior, to LaGuardia before flying into the wild blue yonder. Those wintry early morning rides to the sixth grade's gray nuns from Richie's strawberry blonde mother in the neighborhood's only Cadillac, emerald with jade interior, a flash of flesh beneath her honeydew robe. That spring of 58 lunchtime hour, two off-duty altar boys, so furtive, so mischievous, idly striking damp matches not damp enough, filling a vacant lot with wicked, winking tiger eye flames. That sauna, sweaty summer evening, without a word, without a trace, they're all gone on their one-way white flight from butchers, bakers, cops, and robbers, Queens, New York, to the grass is greener, out of reach reaches of a foreign country called Connecticut. A lifetime later, still remembering neighbor, classmate, friendly rival Richie, his perfect penmanship, his gold star report cards, his starched bright white shirts, oxblood Oxford shoes, his gelled blonde pompadour, his hazel eyes, his magenta lips. Telescopic, microscopic, split finger fastball. Your past ain't what it used to be. It's become an exponentially expanding, simultaneously collapsing cosmos with white dwarfs, black holes, dimming suns, marooned moons. You need a telescope, one of those big suckers like the one at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, but you can't afford one of those and wouldn't know how to use it anyway. Your future ain't what it used to be either. Now it's become like ever-shrinking Arctic Circle summer daylight, shriveling toward dismal dusk, shivering toward definitive darkness. And the telescope has become the wrong tool. Now you need a microscope, one of those subatomic suckers that sees things smaller than the smallest things. But you can't afford one of those and wouldn't know how to use it anyway. And so you try to mindfully invest in your here and now, which these days often becomes stuck on fast forward, making your past vaster and your future smaller still. Your present tense looks like a perfectly pitched big league split finger fastball, feverishly, freakishly dipping, darting, tumbling, so rapidly through barely resistant air. Your precious here and now you see it. No, you don't. I'm going to wrap up with this one I call educated. Your education begins anew with each morning's meditation. Astonished by how much you've learned in 76 years, how much more there remains to be learned. Astonished by how much you got wrong. Astonished by how much you'll never know, how much you'll never know. Thank you so much for having me. This was a delight. I really appreciate the invitation, Tony.
Oh my goodness, what a great reading. What just absolutely fabulous, Robert. Thank you so much. You can see from all the comments in the chat, just you touched every chord. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Wow. Wow. You guys can unmute yourselves and
Wow,
That was awesome, Robert.
journeys.
Yay!
Journeys.
Live applause.
Tears.
absolutely wonderful. All right. I will thank you. I will remind everybody that we will be doing an open mic after Rose reading. But if you do not want to be in the well, let me remove that spotlight. If you do not want to be in the open mic, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, I will assume that everybody here is a part of it. What a wonderful evening, a nice crowd that we have here. We're up to 32 people. And so without any further ado, our Oceanside's own Rohini
I have to
Ramanathan.
go on my computer.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Tony. Thank you. Oceanside rocks.
There you go. You're up.
That's why I've been here so many decades now. And the library is a wonderful centerpiece of Oceanside. And Tony, you have made it really much more beautiful. And thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me this evening.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone. But I should have gone before Robert. How am I going to follow that act now? You know, crazy. Wonderful, Robert. Thank you. And I'm so happy to be in such great company. And I thank my friends whom I invited personally, my personal friends, even another dear friend from Oregon. And she's going to be reading too. So let me start without further ado. Happy New Year, by the way. I have two screens and I'll be looking at the correct screen, hopefully. And I'll be reading 4 poems first, and then a 5th one, which is totally different. The first 4 are from a longer work, which is actually 11,000 words. This is not 11,000. This is just about 1,000 words. So the longer work is called Anna and Blackie, the Little Furball. So it's about Anna, a neighborhood resident, and Blackie, a black squirrel in the neighborhood, a little self-delusional squirrel, if you will. So the first perspective is from Anna. The first poem is from Anna's perspective. What to feed Blackie? Some overripe grapes in the fridge. Not sure if Blackie likes fruit. We'll leave them out for him anyway, this time in a bowl and more visible than last. Several hours pass. Blackie is a no-show. Maybe he doesn't like grapes. Search the web for info on this. A videotape of a reddish squirrel munching away on a grape, his mouth moving a mile a minute, but the grape itself dwindling slowly. Blackie shows up, but ignores the grapes. Why? Back to the computer. Another woman in my shoes and with the same complaint. Those who respond to her say, no such issues in their case. I research what besides, sorry, the pages went too full. Just a second. I research what besides nuts do squirrels like? Almost everything except hot peppers and garlic, though different species seek out different foods. Only through experimentation would I know Blackie's taste for sure. Why not just give this tree rodent nuts? Is this not a foolproof treat for any squirrel? Yeah, why not? I'll tell you why not. Nuts are a big part of my own diet, so I stash them away for myself. Also, the food I give Blackie is grub, not useful to me. But I still want him to be happy, a real challenge considering how picky he is. I become introspective. True love is about sacrifice, sharing what you don't want to part with. But do I love Blackie, or is he just a trash bin to me? Maybe not quite a garbage can, but certainly a repository for my unwanted food. Blackie must have detected this, or else he would have eaten the grapes. I make a list of foods that Blackie would like other than the nuts in my stash. Plenty that he likes, though not my leftovers necessarily. Now, what do I do with food I don't want anymore? Why not leave the leftovers for the menacing muskrat I saw on my driveway last week? Of course, without Blackie's knowledge. Doubt the muskrat is picky about food. Next day, Blackie is spotted on the deck again, munching away to his heart's content on the pistachios. That I have decided to share with him. I must really love him. All right, now it is from Blackie's point of view. Why Mickey and not me? I could have owned castles too. They were within my reach. But for clever cousin Mickey ruining it for me, I would have been the star, not him. Handsome Walt had actually approached me. Even the contract was all buffed and ready for my signature. Mickey was with me at the time, inviting him, a big mistake. Mr. Disney had taken a shine to me. We had met at a park. Immodest as I may sound, like him, I'm handsome too, not to mention cute. What with my chipper eyes and velvety smooth black pelage. Fanning out his floppy ears, Mickey made the first move. A flashy guy, he flashed his yellow shoes, and this prompted Mr. Disney to ask Mickey where he had found such lovely footwear. Lovely, my foot. Garrulous and full of himself, boy, oh boy, did Mickey take off or what? Oh, those lovely shoes is all the opening he needed. Naive Walter was totally bowled over by the mouse. Next, he asked him about his bow tie. Forget it. There was no stopping Mickey now. His long-winded chatter began to grate on my nerves. I politely distracted Mr. Disney with some munchies, which he politely declined, but continued to be in thrall of Mickey, who made the most of it. Sir, Mr. Disney, would you like some cheese and crackers? I persisted. Next thing I know, Mickey the world traveler began the most boring lecture you can imagine on the various cheeses he had tasted. Turned out that Mr. Disney too loved cheese. I extended the fromage tray before him. Mickey grabbed it from me and standing up reverentially offered the tray to Big Walter. I had laid out 3 kinds, brie, cheddar, and Gouda. The 2 cheese lovers began to compare textures and flavors and tastes, both picking cheddar as their favorite. Mr. Disney, how about signing the contract? I said meekly. Oh, what is the rush, he said, waving his hand dismissively. Tell me, Mr. Mouse, he went on, where all have you traveled? All over, replied Mickey, not mentioning. It was all confined to the sewers. His deceit and his flamboyance made me want to wring his neck. What Mr. Disney did next sent me into a state of shock. He flung my contract into the roaring fireplace, saying, I need to prepare a new one. What for? I cried. Oh, you will know soon enough, he replied. Yeah, be patient, Blackie. All in good time, admonished my opportunistic cousin. I was too proud to show my real feelings, not that it would have changed anything. Soon Mr. Disney took leave, as did Mickey. Next day, the headline in a leading newspaper screamed, Mr. Walt Disney hires a charming mouse to be the star of Disneyland. a mouse in place of the highly anticipated squirrel. I cried my eyes out, binged on peanuts, an imposter nut, mind you. Got rid of all the cheese and decided to move to a different country. The next one, it's hard to tell whose point of view it is. It starts out as if it is Blackie's point of view, so we'll stick with that. But at the end, it is the narrator's point of view. Dreaming Big is the title. In Yes, I Can, Yes, I Can, I pivot, I pirouette, I gyrate. The audiences go crazy, and this is just my opening number. Wait till I zigzag through air or zag-zig through water. I'm a miracle squirrel with a show built around me, and it has been running on Broadway for 22 years. Can you beat that? I bet if you said that the musical Cats did, you will be wrong. Cats can never beat squirrels in any department. Maybe in their dreams, what the entire cast of Cats can do, I can do them all by myself. This is one reason why I play where I'm the star is called. This is one reason why the play where I'm the star is called Yes, I Can, Yes, I Can. It also has no set plot based on my acrobatics. The viewer weaves his or her own. Cats might have big names behind it, but it cannot compare to the new approach I bring to a musical, where there is no one single plot line, but as many as the audience can conjure up. Are you dreaming of Broadway again, Blackie? Must be, if that open mouth and splayed legs up in the air are any indication. Time to go on our daily grub hunt. Let's go. His dream interrupted by his mother. Blackie jumps out of bed and, rubbing his eyes, asks, "Where am I?" The final one of the four, New Beginnings. Blackie has his own room, decorated with plush toys and custom throw pillows sporting embroidered images of him in various poses. Since his adoption, his personality has become closer to a dog's, except for his need to be constantly chewing on a deer antler. He has the run of the house and, true to his acquired canine personality, hangs around Anna almost all the time, though undog-like, resting just for a few seconds at a time. No more leftovers anymore, but only choice nuts and seeds, his diet now. The deck is still his preferred nostalgic spot for eating, returning in his mind to the day he first tasted Anna's friendship. Toys R Us is one of his favorite haunts. Anna, of course, allows him this indulgence, tickling the fancy of other shoppers who are amused to see Blackie perched on Anna's shoulders, sizing them up. His other favorite hangout, the playground, where he joins the kids there in their ruckus. The other squirrels in the area, observing his pampered look, comment, "A darn lucky dog." Okay, this one, I renamed it, "Grandma, where are you?" Wrote it about a year and a half ago. These days, many people have a psychotherapist. Mine used to be my grandmother, whose IQ probably was one of the highest for any time. I'm yet to meet a wiser problem solver or advisor. It used to be when, if you went to a therapist, many thought that something was wrong with you. Now, if you don't have a therapist, something must be wrong with you. Not that you don't have a grandmother or uncle or aunt who can fix you up, but they themselves may be on the couch. It used to be that if I felt troubled, I went to one of my close relatives whose words and hugs comforted me, calmed me, consoled me, and I was put back together. Now my grandmother, my anxiety buster, is Mrs. Prozac. My aunt, the depression crusher, is Ms. Xanax. Uncle, whose stories lulled me to sleep, Mr. Ambien. All a doctor's pen stroke away. I'm an actor not just in my play, but also in others and they in mine. The therapist needs to profile every one of them to heal the patient's ills. This honestly the therapist's ultimate intention. The cure rarely comes, but during therapy, most family members have been diagnosed with zero input from them while the client rants on. The patient could be misunderstanding his fellow actor's words and actions, maybe even given to knee-jerk reactions without the big picture the therapist might be misinterpreting too. Aunts and uncles and grandparents are human too, and thus imperfect. And without the credentials of a therapist who possesses in abundance a bag of studied labels for everyone, even for those whom he or she has never met or conversed with. I have a few more minutes, if I may. May I take up a few more minutes? Tony?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. And this one is going to be really from the left field. You'll know why. This is a poem I set to music in the pentatonic scale. When normalcy is lost, it feels like we are hanging upside down, or is it downside up? No worries, just hang loose. When normalcy is lost, it feels like we are hanging upside down, or is it downside up? No worries, just hang loose. When certainties become a thing of the past, as do predictable patterns, let life just simmer and you just hang loose. When normalcy is lost, it feels like we are hanging upside down, or is it downside up? No worries, just hang loose. Plans on hold, no new plan, no place to go, rerunning routines, no big deal, just hang loose. Plans on hold, no new plan, no place to go, rerunning routines, no big deal, just hang loose. When normalcy is lost, it feels like we are hanging upside down, or is it downside up? No worries, just hang loose. Control past, even all little things, never mind. Just roll with the punches and just hang loose. Control lost, even all little things, never mind. Just roll with the punches and just hang loose. When normalcy is lost, it feels like we are hanging upside down, or is it downside up? No worries, just hang loose.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Ro. Beautiful
Okay,
song.
I took some liberties. I hope it was.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's unmute ourselves and let's give Ro a big hand, and Robert as well again. It's what a great evening. Thank you so much. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony. Thank
So
you, Oceanside Library.
we're going to start our open mic, and then we'll go from there. So all right. So Emily Sue, you're up first, and Mark, you're on deck.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. Robert and Roe, fabulous readings. Robert, you really took me back in time. I'm going to read one called Sleepless in January. It'll be part of a poetry walk in Northport. The downspout drips worry across night's frozen canvas. The mind's gathered wool snags on fences unmended, where sheep wander uncounted. Wind rattles rafters, enough to peel roof tiles from plywood for a sleigh ride over the eaves. The sky rumbles with a plane's late-night farewell, and the last train out of the city races past with a whistled wave to closed gates at empty crossings. The furnace shudders awake to pump warmth through rusty pipes as the TV springs to life, blue glow beckoning like a searchlight from a distant star, driving endless internal chatter into the shadows. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily Sue. Thank you so much. All right, Mark, you're up, and Pearl, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony, and wonderful Robert and Roe. Roads we take.
Thank you.
Grandpa preferred back roads and levee highways. Once we got outside the Bay Area on our way to weekend fishing in the Delta, sometimes in the Impala, sometimes in the pickup truck with short camper over the bed, rolling in the shadows of eucalyptus trees, lining a road resembling a never-ending gap-toothed smile, between which was not tongue, but weeping willows waving back at sunlight shimmering on river's surface. Levee roads so narrow, 18-wheelers going the other way slowed down so we could pass without bumping into each other with a twist of the hips and a mutual nod in silence. Apart from occasional sucker punch odor of skunk roadkill, Grandpa found the back roads peaceful, tranquil. Unlike the freeway and its mad rush of cars like a colony of ants streaming frantically between discarded candy bar and home, the point of getting away from the city, after all, is getting away from the city traffic. Nevertheless, Grandpa was strict about laws and rules. One Friday evening, we took a different route, leaving the levee road by turning right at a partially camouflaged T-bone intersection. This portal of two trees whose branches are in a shoving match I fully expected to take us to a haunted hollow even creatures of the woods dare not tread. Instead, no trees, no gargantuan tarantula nests, no traffic, no crops, no farm equipment or farm buildings for that matter, just block after block of bland concrete, perfectly neat and straight, a light pole every 50 feet. A vast nothingness. And yet we are not going nowhere fast. We are going nowhere at 30 miles per hour because that is the speed limit. Tick, tick, tick goes the turn signal at Grandpa's command. I turn around and look out the rear window. No cars, just that nothingness. Grandpa, why are you using the turn signal? Because that is the rule of the road. You always give people a signal that you are turning. But Grandpa, I don't see anybody. It does not matter. It is the law. And as long as they can see you, there is no accident. And as I have gotten older, I understand it's not what you drive or where you drive, but how you drive, which matters.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Okay, Pearl, you're up. Marvin, you're on deck.
Okay, well, I'm profoundly inspired and more deeply humbled, but I'll go ahead anyway. Gobsmacked. When day might turn to night, and night might turn to day, and people stop talking to you, and why, they won't say. When the ice caps are melting, and some say nothing is wrong, and the bees they are leaving, and the frogs stop their song. When politics turn misanthropic, a mass mad mobby joke, and those who should speak forget how they once spoke. When you wake in the morning with a shudder and chill, and the future seems dark and dim and filled with ill will. When shots ring in classrooms and children fall dead, and elders are quiet while youngsters spill wisdom instead. When day might turn to night and night might turn to day, and you speak, think, and write, and don't know what to say. When your heart pounds bloody and fingers turn icy and cold, and you try to be fierce, strong, stand up and be ever so bold. When the world starts to shrink and toddlers die at the shore, when more weapons murder innocents, not less, but still more. When eyes look for footing and guidance in hurricane gales and find instead tossed bombastic, operatic, paper towel tales. When it seems like you're standing in a snow globe of frizz and the very air that you're breathing is thrumming with fizz. When sense flies out of touch and nothing seems real, and divisions are toxic and conversations surreal. When all that you knew seems now up for debate, and too much around you spilled out with hate. When you want to get going but can't get to the gate, when day might turn to night and night might turn to day, as global shards of pain sidewise whirl, destruction's array. When oceans rise and mountains fall, and injustice and wrongs, far too many to articulate them all. When you see time running out, hopefulness each day attacked, then, my friend, then you know you are being gobsmacked.
Thank you very much, Pearl. All right. Thank you and welcome. Good to see you. Marvin, you're up, and Teresa, you're on deck.
The title is Lunch. She read me Uncle Wiggily, or I would not eat it all, or Ping the Duck lost on the Yangtze, or how the crow got his croak, or how the owl got so wise. And because she read with feeling, that's the word she used, I would eat my alphabet soup and the egg shaking on the spinach, the butterscotch pudding, and drink my milk all down. And it tasted good because my friends were there in the briar patch, in a candy cottage, or on a lily pad. And though she gave me a cookie to eat on my way back to school, I was sad to leave her voice, which made magic with the books, for there was no magic from 1 to 3, but multiplication tables, or spelling quizzes, or penmanship. And as I walked back to school, I waved to Mom and saw, I swear, a cricket twirling a cane, dancing on her shoulder, and a white rabbit by her side, dressed in hearts.
Wow. Wow. Very, very nice.
Good job, Marvin.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you very much. All right. Teresa, you're up, and Alice, you're on deck. Okay. Teresa? Did I lose Teresa? I appear to have lost Teresa. All right. Should have checked that. Sorry about that. Alice, you're up, and Tony, you're on deck.
Hi, I'm from San Francisco, originally New Rochelle. The Children's Library. The library had been an ice house, ice carried from nearby ponds, smooth, cold blocks instead of books, in a dollhouse-like cottage in the park, a remnant where my child lingered to melt, to become transformed, carried on the stream or over the bridge. Then it was changed again. The books were carted away like ice blocks. The library became a deserted little house, freezing in winter without books. I ran from water rats in the streams. until the cracked shades were lifted and the library was brought back, and the children moved in once more with unicorns and dragons and the nice ghosts of my childhood along a new flowing stream.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much and welcome, Alice. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. By the way, if anybody wants, if you're not on our email list and you would like to be on our email list, just put it in the chat. We have two separate email lists. One is
Tony,
for
do I need
all,
to sign in?
excuse me, who's that? I lost that.
Oh.
Anybody that, if you want just the poetry things that are involved with the library, that's what I will assume if you throw your email in here. But we also have the one where you get all of our programs, which are extensive. More than most libraries, I think. And certainly when we move back into our new building, it certainly will. So please feel free to put in your email. But thank you very much, Alice. And now, Tony, you're up. And
Thank you for having me here, and thank you, Robert and Ro.
oh, great. Okay, so Tony, you're up, and Dan, you're on deck.
Thank you. Awesome job, Robert and Ro. This one's called Corner Pocket. My mama said I was born in an old Spanish Harlem bar. I even remember when she said it. It was on my 10th birthday. She said I was born just before last call under a Schlitz malt liquor bull lamp and on top of a dirty pool table. Then she whispered, "That's why I think you're so good at playing pool." But you didn't hear from me. She said my daddy was a great pool player, but he damn sure couldn't help deliver a baby. She said her left foot was stuck in the corner pocket during the entire delivery. Fortunately, because of the regular fights that occur in that bar, an ambulance was always parked somewhere nearby. And for that, I'm so thankful, because they came to the rescue and did the delivery, and the delivery was a success. And I'm here to tell the story, but don't tell my mama I told you the story, especially about the part about her left foot being stuck in the corner pocket. And to this day, whenever I see an ambulance drive by, I whisper, "Thank you." Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much. And thanks for joining us. And appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Where are you from, Tony?
I'm in Vallejo, California. Robert invited me, so I'm on the West Coast in California. Yep.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so we've got, and I forgot who I said was, oh, Dan, you're up, and Dee Dee, you're on deck.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. I'm going to read this piece, and I'm posting in the chat a couple things. One is about Sacred Grounds, the Wednesday night venue I host on Zoom. For the most part, we do a hybrid, and you'll see information about that when you check the links. And then the Global Open Mic, a way to find things like this all over the world, as long as people tell me about them, an ad thing. And it's also an activist thing, but I'm not going to go onto my soapbox. Instead, I'm going to read this poem, which it has to do with the modern world. So bear with me. The title is, Whose Fault Is It? There are faults that divide the continents all over the world, transcending both land and sea. Every nation is cut up. But these don't belong to anyone. They were here long before we were, and by millions of years yet already. But there are other faults that also divide, and these others are all up to us. We make them, and they make us and what we are or are not. And across them all, people are looking to the other sides as they point pointedly, accusing each other as to whose fault is whose. So whose fault is red or blue, climate change or its denial, guns or safety, the divide concerning electoral trust, organic and or unnatural food additives, free and fair news or not, freedom to vote or not, freedom to be as you are or wish or not, the inalienable right to life, respectful dialogue or bullying put down rants, liberal or not, conservative or not, reasonable or not, logical or not, Trump or not, science or not, technology or not, AIHRIRSINC.com, pandemic or not, vaccine or not, hope or not, war or not, racism or not, politics and protest, union or scab, revolution or co-option, violence or peace, truth or not, lies or not, corruption or not. And there are other faults which, just as those may be, are personal or not. Which fault is whose? How many faults are you a part of? How many faults are there? How do all these separations separate, propagate, promulgate, instigate, procreate, percolate, resonate, facilitate, sublimate? Whose fault makes who, what, when, or where the divisive differences that they are? How do we know who is at fault for all the faults? Why do we each ask, whose fault is it? Why are we separated from one another, the truth, and all the hope that there is? The love evidenced in each and every heartbeat, each helping hand, every word of support, kindness, and generosity and justice. Whose fault is whose? That is the question.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for that wonderful reading. Okay. Let's see. So Dee Dee, you're up, and Larry McCoy, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Ro, Robert, and everybody else who has read. Always a wonderful evening. I'm going to read something that isn't dark, called Duck in Progress. In the brittle snap of winter, frozen water lets them play. These ducks who should know better, refusals made to fly away. I pull my feathers closer, feel the shiver down my spine. A plane flies south without me, and the ducks are doing fine. This is dead of and real winter. Most festive lights are gone. Frozen water hides the fish. They write letters under pond. Trains are whistling goodbye. You can see them in the sun. There's another snow in sight. Can't I duck and move along? There's a full moon in a black sky. I'd be wishing on a star. Hop a plane, a train, a feathered duck, a fancy heated car. Whisk me up to hotter planets or just south until the spring. Silly ducks, I just don't get it. Why you sit there on your wings. Pull my feathers close around me. Sail on ice boats passing by. Fit me finally the wings. Watch me wave them in goodbye.
Here. Thank you. Thank you, Doreen. All right. So next we have Larry, and then Shauna is on deck.
Robert, someone who, like myself, had three brothers, that first poem was a real home run. A few tips on how to deal with the medical colossus called NYU Langone and still maintain at least a degree of calm and sanity. When you're standing at the checkout desk and your cell phone goes off, don't jump. Don't think it's someone with terrible news. It's merely a text message from the NYU Langone person 2 feet away from you, confirming that you just forked over your copay. Your cell phone will beep again soon. NYU Langone again, confirming the next appointment you just agreed on seconds ago. Don't be angry. Don't even be surprised when a doctor on Long Island orders a test that, after maybe 15 phone calls and 24 text exchanges, you learn is not performed by any NYU Langone facility on Long Island. But you are told you can get the test done at one of their locations in Manhattan. No, you're not being a smartass if you ask, when you say Manhattan, do you mean Manhattan as in New York City or Manhattan as in Kansas? NYU Langone has taken over lots of real estate in the Garden City area. They've just moved into the old Sears Bloomingdale building. And last week when Irene and I were there, some of the furniture still had tags on them. On our next visit, I intend to ask if we get a discount if we remove some of the furniture tags. With all these hundreds of people drawing paychecks from NYU Langone, what should we call them? Langonians, Langanese, or Langostinos?
Thank you, Larry. And
Thank
you
you.
hit it right on the head. It's that's just absolutely 1000% right. Too funny. Too funny. All right. So Shauna, you're up, and David, you're on deck.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Great readings so far. I'm enjoying it so much. So I'm a retired nurse. I was a nurse for 35 years, and I'm just finishing up with a poetry full-length collection of my nursing poems. So I'm going to read one of those tonight. And it's called Catatonic. 12-hour shift completed. 12 hours flitting room to room like a wingless bird, stopping only to peck, peck, peck at the computer before flying off to the med cart, the dressing cart, the pantry, grabbing clean linen, calling the doctor, giving a shot, a pill, a tray of food, helping patients get in and out of bed, giving hope, giving answers, talking, teaching, assessing, and rushing room to room, hour after hour. At last, I pull into our dark driveway, cut the engine, close my eyes, feeling the throb of knees and feet, fatigue's bone-deep hammer weight. When finally I swing open the car door, Mr. Cake jumps onto the jam, the motor of his purr revving like a big rig pulling uphill. I cradle him high on my chest. I bury my face in his long white fur and pet him with both hands.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We really, really appreciate it very much. That's okay. So we have Shauna. So I apologize. I'm all over the place. David, you're up, and Shitra, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing anything. David. So it's David, and then Shitra is on deck.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks everyone for reading tonight. This is a leftover Christmas poem. How I Killed My Tofu Turkey. It's ironic, but I put to death my tofu turkey. It was nonviolent and bloodless, as only a vegetarian could inflict. My tradition at Christmas dinner is having a plant-based bird that doesn't fly. It wasn't killed like the customary turkey adorning many holiday season tables. It is a gruesome 18-week journey from hen to headless, terrified in the slaughterhouse, their heads submerged in electrified stunning tank, shackled and hung upside down, a circular blade slashes their throats, then dumped into boiling water to remove their feathers. Many don't even make it to the stun tank. Wrapped in plastic, they leave the factory by the millions for the dinner tables of the world. My soya bean cheese alternative sat in the fridge. I opened the box, and something had grown on its skin. A light blue mold like blue cheese had speckled the tofu. I had to dispose of its inedible body in the garbage can. Rereading the box, it recommended freezing before cooking, which for some odd reason I thought could be healthy without this step. So skimming the instructions killed my tofu turkey. Years previous, there were few choices when it came to having a vegetarian Christmas with a family of carnivores. Mom wanted to ensure we're fed and tried her best to fill up my plate with mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, and turnips, which I didn't like. But there was always that white empty spot on my plate, normally filled with turkey. Those were awkward, uncomfortable years of sharing a meal with loved ones and not sharing a meal with loved ones who didn't get your different dietary lifestyle. Everyone relaxed, though, when I never refused Christmas pudding dessert with plum sauce. My dad, a 3-meal-a-day meat eater, was disturbed. His son, a world traveler, brought back to the small northern Ontario household many cultures had vegetarian options. One summer, Dad drove past a chicken factory, and the stench repulsed him. He stopped eating chicken. Later, when it was chicken dinner night, we finally saw eye to eye.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So apparently the reader that I had mentioned is not here. People are bouncing in and out, so I do apologize. I'm going to ask, who am I going to ask here? Margaret, if you could jump in, and Sandra, if you could be on deck.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Robert. This is called The Old Actress, oil painting by Max Beckman. Silver hair strands dangle to one side of her face. Her cat rests its chin on her arm. Hands across over this feline companion, keeping it in position on her lap. Named after her late husband, who visits her in her dreams on days she remembers. She rests her eyes for a moment, closes them on the world. Her dark eyebrows indicate once a brunette in her day. Surrendered into forced retirement, dementia has become her co-star. No more Hollywood glamour, no more film scripts or crew, no red carpet affairs, only the red velour of a chair she sits resting. Gold necklace around her collar with matching hoop earrings like Golden Globes, Emmy trophies, and her almost Academy Award. Her lips remain permanent, puckered up on the grandkids, actors, and directors' names she's now forgotten. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, Margaret, and very timely with tonight's Emmys. Thank you very much. That dementia has become her co-star. Certainly got a few mentions here, as it should. All right, Sandra, you're up, and Antoinette, you're on deck.
Thank you so much, Tony and Ro and Robert. I loved your readings, and everyone else. This is a delightful series. I'm also out in California. We're like the Robert contingent.
Great. Love to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. But I did grow up in New Jersey and New York, so I'm going to read a New York poem for New York. Where I was born, where my grandparents met, married, and built a life, where my nephew and his new wife live and create, where my consciousness was raised at the Museum of Modern Art, where I first fell in love at the Thalia and Cloisters, where we drank Orvieto with hand-drawn IDs and ate pizza at the Café Wa, where the Bronx, where I slept on my Bubby's Castro convertible the summer before college, where Brooklyn with its homegrown sound, where the George Washington Bridge was my underground railroad, where Grand Central Station shuttled me to Sanctuary, if only for the weekend, where $2 concerts at Carnegie Hall, in jeans among the furs and tuxes, where the Natural History Museum, where dinosaurs and dioramas, where the glaring billboards of 42nd Street, where I rode the subway with my grandpa for a day at the Central Park Zoo, where feeding pigeons on the concourse, where I passed out on the D train in the August heat, where Mr. Curran's candy store, where urban legends and the Jewish giant, where WBAI played the old mantra, to die waiting, all through my junior year, where we hear it now with tentative ears, one world together, leaning toward the speaker, hands on each other's hearts, waiting to graduate, be sprung, awaken from this dystopian dream. Thanks for listening.
Oh, thank you so much, Senator. Welcome, and we hope to see you again. That was wonderful. I will remind everybody that this entire show, if you will, along with all of the others, are on our YouTube channel, Oceanside Library. That's Oceanside, New York Library YouTube channel. And feel free to use any of your own clips that you like, however you would like to do it. So Antoinette, you're up, and Ronald, you're on deck.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. I saw this on Facebook and like Robert's work so much that I just am joining in. So I'm really happy to be here. I have a new book out too. I mean, it just came out last month. I self-published it. It's called That's What Happens When You Live on Hate Street. I'm in San Francisco. The poem I chose to read this evening is Can I Get a Ride? Climb in, my dear, invited my car, side seat warmed and ready, windows rolled down. Heated words exchanged, passenger door flips open as we cruise the curb, heavy metal hinge springs wide. I almost fall out, warm breeze lifts my skirt, fingers scrape the road, hold on tight with knuckles white, feels like perpetual motion, pulling back with all my might. Happy hour, rush hour, get out of my way. Chrysler's Green Hornet picking up speed on the freeway. Others made in foreign lands, two-door Mazda, four-door Honda, hatchback coined as three. Seat belts and child locks have no say in this Cadillac country where sunroof opens to the wild wind rumbling past, raindrops sloshed against the ground, making it hard to see through the judgments I inflict, limping along on tired tires, blaming myself for all that I think that I am, wired in the diagnostics of my mind, running on empty, I stop on a dime. Great. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, what a great evening. We appreciate it very much. All right. Ronald, you're up, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. Avacha is on deck, and correct me when you get up, and I truly apologize. Ronald, you're up.
Okay.
Whoops, there you go. Okay.
I'm having a little problem here.
Okay.
Maybe you can let Avacha go first, and I'll try to work out this problem.
Okay, sure. Okay. Did I lose Avacha?
Here I am, and Avacha is the correct
Hey.
pronunciation.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Thank you for your.
I was born in New York, but I also live in California. As soon as I saw a palm tree, I knew I was home. So this is from my book. It's called Daughters of the Drum. There's an International Women's Drum Festival that happens out here every year. And I teach a workshop there called When Ancestors Speak Through Rhythm. And I dedicate this to the women who come from all over the planet for that festival. And it's in Spanglish, but you'll get the message from my book, Daughters of the Drum. We were born to drum. Somos hijas rítmicas. We were conceived in rhythm, whether we knew it or not, or wanted it or not. It was and has always been about upholding la clave en el alma, the beauty and sanctity of the rhythm that created us, the rhythm that is us. Somos el latido de la naturaleza, the rhythm of our mother's labor pains announced our coming. And it's always the rhythm of our breathing that lets the world know we're alive. Mira, 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 no bellas fuerzas míticas, pero picosas, feel it. We walk and sing, pray, dance, and cry in it. Every single word that flows out of our mouths is a rhythmic declaration of our presence. Somos la esencia de la bomba, and even our sacred mother nature dances rhythmically through the seasons every single year, keeping the rhythm of our lives in balance. Our universe is an inescapable symphony, ritmos sagrados, held together by vibration, by the sound of the sum of us, the always right on time, magical, rhythmical timelessness of us. Somos la fiebre apasionada de la rumba, the heart of bebop and kubop was born in us, its creation's gift to us. Somos el corazón del tambor, born in the womb of creativity, an undeniable rhythm personified. Wake up, world. Mira, 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 no, listen. We are your children, and we were born to drum. I put my book as well. I do a monthly poetry, multilingual poetry series, and I'll put that in there as well. We have 4 features and only 10 open mics. If you want to be there, get there early. Thanks for listening to my words.
Oh, thank you so much. That was really, really wonderful. Yeah, please put the stuff in the chat. If you already did, if you could throw it in again, so it's down here for everybody. Really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I love Robert. I had to be here.
That's wonderful. All right, Ronald, we're going to give it another try, and B, you're on deck.
Okay, this one was written way back in the 1970s. She said, "Don't ever tell me I'm beautiful, because I'll know you're lying, and I'll never trust you again." So I didn't, not even when I ate to, not even when she would loose those cruel offhand cracks about herself, hoping that I would swat them down. But I didn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. Wow. All right. B, you're on deck, and JR, I mean, sorry, B, you're up, and JR, you're on deck.
Do I sign in? Okay. Hi, I'm Carol Barrows, and I guess my initial B sounds kind of good. I go by Gigi with my grandchildren.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to start just a little tiny short one that I wrote when I was a kid. Little girl in dungarees running through the evening breeze. From afar, she hears a voice. Should she go home? She has no choice. She'd love to run and skip and play, but when mother calls, she must be on her way. So it's funny. My son became a poet at 16, and I didn't realize there was any poetry in me. Then I found this little poem years later and said, "Oh, well, maybe he got it from me." I don't know.
That's
anyway,
wonderful.
So I have two of his poems. He's fabulous.
Yeah, everybody gets one poem. If
Okay,
yours was short. If you want to read one more, we'll let you do that.
Okay, but would you prefer the very first he wrote at 16 or my favorite?
I'm going to leave that up to you. That's 100% up to you.
Okay, I'm going to read my favorite. It's called The Color of This. I hope you may be listening to my humble prayer for you. I don't believe I've met you, but I miss you. Yes, I do. I have you pictured gently, but not your hair or eyes. When I think of you, I'm feeling you. You cover all my skies. I'll never hang with jealousy, nor question will involve. To make each day more beautiful, our only puzzle solved. In dreams, I feel an angel, just out of reach you hover. I know I have to earn the day my baby calls you mother. I'll love you more than you'll ever believe, but patiently, please trust me. I promise you my heart and soul, my past will never rush me. Someday you'll read this by my side. I can really barely wait. I know I sound a dreamer, but you're there. It's not too late.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
he wrote
much.
that years ago and gave it to his wife when he got married.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you for
out
the
tonight.
invitation, Rohina.
Very nice. Thank you. All right. JR, you are up, and Christina Rao, you are on deck.
Super stellar evening of poetry. Thank you all. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Ro. And thank you, Tony. We couldn't do this without you. So I finished editing a poem this morning, submitted it to Modesto Stanislaw's anthology, and it was accepted.
Hey, good job.
And so it's on Pantone's Color of the Year. Peach Fuzz. Pantone 13-1023. Remarkable. A sweet, juicy fruit, robust and tangy, sluicing, sliding driblets down my chin to stain my new white blouse, peach-esque. Scent lingering like an aromatherapy taper long past the last drip, lickable lips bombed. I find the fruit and flavor remarkable. An invigorating frosty glass of peach tea on a sweatful July afternoon, a steaming mug cuddled in winter-bitten hands, you and me sharing a peachy keen down-fluffed comforter by the fireplace, a natural luscious blush on cheeks and nose, a flamingo sunset to set the scene for an enchanting evening. I'm a sucker for peach candy, peach pie without the crust, dreamy peach ice cream, a decadent peach Bellini with a wide slice of peach floating like me on a raft in blazing Bermuda sun, swirling and cool liquid, quenching every desire to bathe in peach bubbles, slather peach shower gel all over me with you as my loofah, tresses treated to peachola conditioner, feet tickled with lotion, yummy enough to eat. Yes, remarkable, this love of mine, yet I cannot eat a peach skin on, unstripped, undelectable, cannot endure rough texture on fingertips like fine sandpaper on lips, scratching, bristly stubble, an emery board across the supple skin, that peach fuzz, not sorry. I like my fruit clean shaven.
Hey, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Okay. So I have Christina up, and the only other person that I have on here who has not read that I can see is our iPhone person. If there's anybody else who I'm missing, please throw yourself in the chat. For some reason, the Zoom is bouncing all over the place tonight. So we'll go with Christina. And then, like I said, if anybody else wants to read, just let me know. And there she is, our poet in residence of the Oceanside Library, Christina Rao.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your stuff. This one is from my new book. The new book is this. Hello. It's called How We Make Amends. The poem is Thin Air. I remember climbing through red rocks as if it were this morning, this past minute, this past line. Walk Alone finished playing as the car shut down. The cacti lie crushed and defeated at the path opening. Cyclists passed with sun creeping out, air thinning. So when the sing-song guitar slips through the stereo, the gravel slipping underneath sneakers, the brush scratching denim, the crush of distance comes right up, grips the bottom of my feet, my ankles radiating to the top. The break of time cracks off a complete moment, drops it from the continuum, posturing us moving through a paused world where we found the ledge and began laughing the long last laugh before returning to bed one more time. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Am I missing anybody? All right. Well, then if you guys don't mind, I'll read one. I cannot commit murder. I cannot commit murder, though how often I've dreamed of it driving on the Belt Parkway. I cannot commit murder, not because of morality or religion, but because I could never choose a last meal. Should it be steak and garlic mashed potatoes, cream spinach and cornbread from Morton's in Chicago, and pie for dessert? Or a buttery hot lobster roll, cold coleslaw from Red's in Maine, and pie for dessert? Maybe cedar plank grilled salmon caught fresh just north of Seattle, farm fresh veggies and pie for dessert. A cheeseburger and fries from All American in Massapequa, and pies, vanilla shake and pie for dessert. A steaming pot of mussels and wine sauce, warm baguettes, crisp white wine from that bistro just outside Paris, and pie for dessert. Maybe tortellini from Rome, or fish and chips from that pub along the Thames, chicken and red rice from San Antonio, catfish from New Orleans, barbecue from Memphis. How about pizza from New York, or chicken and broccoli from Flushing? With pie for dessert, of course. But which pie? Apple, apple crumb, pumpkin, pecan, peach, blueberry, cherry, Boston cream. It's too much. I could never decide. It's why I cannot commit murder. All right. I want to thank everybody here tonight. It's absolutely wonderful readings. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, all of the open micers. Thank you for all of our guests, our new friends. I hope you come back and join us. Our next evening will be February 5th. We'll have Valerie Griggs here from Long Island and Patrice Smith from the DC, Maryland area. I wish everybody again a happy holiday, and we hope that you come back, and certainly you can open up your mics and give our features, both of them, and a wonderful round of applause. Thank you.
Great pair of features.
Great job, Robert.
All the open mics.
Bravo,
Rohini, you
Robert.
did a good one. You did it again.
Thank you so much. What a treat.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.